Welcome into On Deck. So good to be back. Hopefully you guys can hear me. We're back, and I know it's been a while. I know it's been a minute since I've got on here and talked to you guys about everything going on in the world of Major League Baseball and, of course, the world of the Atlanta Braves. But I wanted to get on here, and I know it's a little bit early, but I wanted to get on here and kind of shoot the breeze about everything going on within the National League East, because that's been kind of the first topic I can sink my teeth into when it comes to the Braves. Obviously, the Braves haven't done too terribly, they haven't done a lot this offseason, to say the least. I think by now we all expected Freddie Freeman to be re-signed. I think we all kind of wanted a verdict on whether or not Marcell Ozuna would be returning, and none of that has happened quite yet. But on the contrary, the Mets have made some moves, the Nationals have made some moves, and it's starting to raise some eyebrows of some Braves media, some Braves fans, to be honest with you, it raised my eyebrow a little bit. So we're going to talk about it and talk about what the Braves can do, what their options are. And, of course, if you have any additional questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Just drop them in the chat. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the biggest thing out there right now, and that is Francisco Lindor going to the New York Mets. Obviously, this is a big-time deal. Francisco is going to the Mets for no less than $19.5 million for this year. He is open to a long-term deal with the Mets. And, of course, Francisco, if you ask anyone that watches baseball just casually, Francisco Lindor is a guy who most people would say is probably right up there in the top 2 or 3 shortstops in baseball. I don't think that is an exaggeration whatsoever. I think that is a very good assessment. And he's going to a team that is wanting to win, that wants to win and is willing to spend money nonetheless. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But that was not the only move the Mets made. Of course, they also signed starting pitcher Carlos Carrasco. And this was an interesting move. The Mets have always had pitching in the past few years. Obviously, they have DeGrom, Cy Young candidate every year. Syndergaard, who was dominant those early few years, had a couple of years, these past few. But all in all, their pitching staff has never quite been the issue. It's, of course, the offense. So I really think this is a solid move by the Mets. I think we can all agree there. I think this is a move that we didn't expect. It was a move that really came out of nowhere. And I think it's good for the Mets. Speaking unbiasedly, I think it is a good move for the Mets. With that said, we're going to talk a little bit more on this here later, but getting Lindor is a huge thing for the Mets. Obviously, star power. We all knew about the star power. But the numbers are a lot better than the former shortstop for the Mets, Ahmed Rosario. He, of course, got traded. And that was not the only move. Of course, they also got Carlos Carrasco, which adds to their pitching staff, and that's, wonderful for New York. But I really believe that if you look at the numbers here, would you have wanted the Braves to go get Lindor? And obviously the quick answer is yes, because he's one of the best shortstops in the game. But I think that the Braves have really had a mindset now of we're going to see what happens with Swanson. There's, we've raised this kid practically. He spent every bit of his major league career with the Braves. He had a really good season last year. He's always gotten better. And it'll be interesting to see what he does going forward. So that's my thought on the whole Lindor thing. And I'm going to get into more of that here later. But the biggest thing here is not these signings, in my opinion. I think the biggest thing when it comes to the Lindor signing, to the Carrasco signing, and to the other signings that we've seen with the Nationals, Josh Bell, Kyle Schwarber, these past few days, the more interesting thing is how many eyebrows have been raised about the Braves, right? The Braves haven't extended Freddie Freeman yet, and everybody thought that was a given this offseason, and I think it is. I think that will happen just because, frankly, the media pressure is all over the Braves to do that. And I think, even if it didn't happen this offseason, I would not be worried to see whether or not Freddie Freeman came back. So I really don't think that is a worry to be had. But the question of Duvall leaving, Marcell Ozuna is yet to be re-signed. There are a lot of questions, and rightfully so. What are the Braves going to do? How are they going to, advance the team? But I would like to remind you also, the Mets and the Nationals are playing catch-up. Phillies, you can throw the Phillies in there too. They are playing catch-up. to the Braves. The Braves have been first in the National League East for going on 3 years, and frankly, these teams have to adjust. They have to spend big money or they have to rebuild. Philly, of course, a couple years ago decided to spend big money on Bryce Harper. I had my problems with that deal at the time. I still have my problems with it. But at the end of the day, that was their choice. That's the move they made. That's the move they're going to stand by for the next 10 years. Compare that to this deal for the Mets. The Mets are the winner. I mean, you got Francisco Lindor for $19.5 million for 1 year. To put that in comparison, we paid Donaldson, I want to say $23 million for 1 year. So it is what it is. I do think that there are some positives and negatives here. But I really think the Mets really won this trade. For Cleveland, I think it is a drastic loss in a franchise player in Lindor. But for the Mets, this is a great pickup. And the Mets, behind baseball here for a second, the Mets got new ownership. They got a new general manager. And the general manager they had prior, Van Wagenen, I was not that big of a fan of because I don't know if you guys remember this. You might not. You may or may not. But Van Wagenen came out last year, I believe, and said, we're ready to win now. And if you just took one look at their lineup, you knew that wasn't the case. Obviously, a great mindset to have if you're the club manager, but you're the general manager. You got to make adjustments, and they just weren't there last year. They're a fun team to watch. Don't get me wrong. With players like McNeil, who always give the Braves trouble, DeGrom, who can pitch out of anything. They had a lot of fun players, but they weren't going to compete on a day-to-day basis with the Braves, who had a lot of talent, so much talent that half their pitching staff was gone. The majority of the starters were gone, and the Braves somehow managed to compete 7 games with the Dodgers. So, reminder, the Braves are not playing catch-up here. The Mets and the Nationals and the Phillies and, of course, the Marlins are. The Marlins are more competitive than the Nationals and the Mets at the moment. Think about that for a second. Who would have thought that? Last year, the Marlins were the ones we were competing with in the postseason. So keep that in mind whenever you're seeing all these big deals happen. And that wasn't the only deals. I'm going to get to your questions in a minute. I'll see you over there, Chad Davis. I'm going to get there in a minute. But I really think that more deals are going to happen. You're going to see the Braves make a splash here pretty soon. But I want you to ask yourself, would you rather... How about this? Let's talk about Kyle Schwarber first. Kyle Schwarber, of course, got signed to the Nationals. And I'm going to be straight with you. I am a Kyle Schwarber fan. Ever since he put a ball on the roof at Wrigley, I have been a fan of Kyle Schwarber. He is a guy, he is a playmaker, he hits a lot of home runs, he is a DH candidate, now he's in the National League, or he has been in the National League. I've always thought he would be a great DH, but my question is, if he's going to play outfield for the Nationals, right, the Braves are of course looking for an outfielder, that's where a lot of these headlines are coming from, understandably. But Ozuna has yet to sign to another team. Everybody thought, Ozuna is going to sign to an American League team. That is yet to happen. You have to wonder where the conversations are with him. And I want you to ask yourself, who would you rather have? Kyle Schwarber or Marcell Ozuna? Based on last year, I'm taking Marcell Ozuna. The Nationals just signed Josh Bell. I mentioned that a minute ago. Who would you rather have? Josh Bell or MV Free? There's just a lot of questions to be asked. And I think in a lot of these deals, the headlines are going to be, the Mets just got Francisco Lindor. And as a Braves fan, you have that huge side, we got to face him, the majority of the year this year. And I understand that, but there's a lot more here. The Braves have to make smart deals. The Braves, frankly, don't have to go out on a limb and sign these guys for big money. To me, the thing that makes this Lindor deal better than the Bryce Harper deal is, frankly, Lindor is going somewhere that has a foundation. They have pitching, right? They have decent players within the lineup. But Francisco is a piece that they were missing. Offensively, it's going to be a boost to their lineup for sure. And that's something that the Phillies didn't necessarily have with Bryce Harper. Not to mention the salaries, the deal, it's all completely different. This is a huge signing and trade, frankly, to Cleveland and the Mets. And it's, frankly, right now the advantage is all Mets. I know Giraffe Neck Mark, if you guys watch him, I know he is excited about this, and rightfully so. Any Mets fan should be excited about this. It's going to shape their year this year, but I don't think it's going to, frankly, dig the grave for the Braves if nothing else were to happen. I think the case is still out on Duvall. I think the case is still out on a lot of these guys that are out there in the open right now. Yasiel Puig, to name one who we haven't heard from in a long while. He could easily come in and, frankly, be the Braves' left fielder if need be, or right fielder rather. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think your outfield for the Braves will handle itself, because even if we don't have a signing, worst comes to worst, you got Christian Pache in center, Acuna in right, Drew Waters in left. So at the end of the day, the Braves don't have a lot to lose. Obviously, I'd like to see a splash. I'd like to see a signing, as I'm sure a lot of you would too. But remember, these other teams are playing catch-up. The Braves are, have been, and I think will continue to be competing for the National League East, if not competing deeper into the postseason as they did this year. So let's get into some of your questions. Hopefully we'll get some more in, and then I'm going to get out of here. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the Lindor trade. Let me know what you think about Kyle Schwarber going to the Nationals. And, of course, let me know what you think about what the Braves are doing or what they are not doing. All right. Chad Davis, Lindor come to the Braves, LOL. The Mets are going to be good, but the Braves still can beat them. Swanson is still the man. That is a good point. Swanson really had a breakout year last year. I thought so. I know a lot of you did. Towards the beginning of the year, he was really carrying the Braves in a lot of ways. But the interesting thing to me is the Braves have pretty much made it a point that they're sticking with Swanson. For better or for worse, they're sticking with Swanson. And I think that's the right move. Swanson has proven, like I said earlier, he has proven to get better and better, and there is nothing wrong with that. It's sticking with a guy that you've raised, especially when the rest of your team is fundamentally sound. You got Ozzy Albies at second base. Don't think there's very many people I would choose over him. Obviously, Freddie Freeman at first, MVP last year. Austin Riley, I think, has a lot of potential at third. And your pitching staff, hopefully this year, will be fully recuperated and ready to go. At the catching position, you got two prospects that are going to be great, Williams Contreras, and of course Shea Langoliers, and of course you got Travis d'Arnaud too. And of course your outfield is the only thing that you're sort of riding right now as to what we're going to do. But I think you have options. I don't think it is a point in time where you question what the Braves are going to do. It's more along the lines of you're waiting for what the Braves are going to do. And of course I do think they're going to make a move, but even if they don't, I have faith that that it's the right choice for the Braves. I think this was the right move for the Mets. I think it was a great move by the Mets. This new ownership is going to be very smart and intelligent, and that's a good thing for the National League East, to be competitive. I think the National League East has been one of the most competitive divisions in baseball these past few years, and I think they will continue to be so. But this move, is going to make a lot of Braves fans nervous, and rightfully so, and that's exactly what the Mets want. And that's a good thing. I personally do think that. I think this is a great move by the Mets again, but I don't think this is going to be the final say within the National League East. We've seen a lot of these teams act early. The Nationals have also signed Josh Bell. They have signed Kyle Schwarber, which we talked about a few minutes ago. These guys are big names, big signings, but again, like I said, at first base, I'm taking Freddie Freeman over Josh Bell any day of the week. In the outfield, I think there are a lot better options than Kyle Schwarber. And frankly, Marcell Ozuna is one of them, and the case is still out on that. So I think the Braves need to do something. First thing first, extend Freddie. But if they're waiting to extend Freddie for the sake of potentially seeing how much money is going to be left in the bank for other guys, maybe they're making the right call there. It's hard to say behind closed doors. But good point, Chad. I appreciate it. Do you think the Braves should trade some young pitchers and Riley for either Bryant or Arenado? Absolutely not. I don't. I think Riley has the potential, while he's surrounded, I think Riley has the potential to really be a young player that develops into being something really good. I've always been a Riley guy. That's no secret. Riley is full of power. He had a lot of pop his first year. This year he focused a lot on controlling his swing. We didn't quite see the Babe Ruth numbers he was putting up that first year, but at the end of the day, a controlled swing. He learned to hit the slider, but obviously would like to see a lot more. And it's hard to say what this past year. It's hard to say what we saw in 60 games. with every person. I think we saw greatness out of a lot of guys, Marcell Ozuna, Freddie Freeman, but folks like Riley, that are just getting started, are really young, it's hard to say. I don't really want to trade a bunch of young guys for one of those players. If I was going to pick out of those two, I would pick Arenado. But I don't really want either one over Austin Riley at the moment, especially if I'm trading away young pitchers as well, because I'm also going to have to pay their salary. There's a lot of things that have to go there. I think the Braves are really looking to left field at the moment to make a splash. Could be George Springer, could be Marcell Ozuna. We're going to have to wait and see. Not disagreeing, I'm a huge Riley fan. I just think it'll be a couple of years before he is. And if they are in a win mode now, Bryant or Arenado are better options for this year. I think you're right in that capacity if you're only looking at this year there, Andre. But at the same time, as much as I agree with that, I think the Braves are not looking to this year. I think they're looking for 5 years, 10 years down the road. And I think that's why they've kept guys like Dansby Swanson instead of going out and getting another shortstop. They stuck with him through the struggles, and I think they'll do that with Riley. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Again, they've raised this kid up. They've seen what the potential he has. I don't know if you remember, but the kid hit a near 500-foot home run this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. But I don't think they're going to trade for a third baseman. I don't think that is the priority. If that was the priority, I propose you this. If that was the priority, they would have kept Josh Donaldson. Because, and that would have been a mistake based on the numbers we're looking at right now. But I do appreciate your comment. But I just don't think they're looking third base right now. What up, DB? I watched a special on you the other day. A whole documentary about your escape. Good to hear from you. I maybe trade a young pitcher like Tukey and some low minor league for Bryant. I am not a Chris Bryant guy, not here lately. I was in 2016, 2017, not so much now. He's really taken a hit on the numbers. But I get it. Maybe put Riley in left. I hear you. But I just don't see it personally. I really think Riley is better third base. He made some... Remember, Austin Riley made some great plays this year in the postseason against the Reds. He probably saved the Braves postseason there at the end of that game. So just remember, Austin Riley is a natural third baseman, and I really think that he is going to be the future third baseman for the Braves. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I think he is the guy that the Braves are counting on, to say the least. Fraymore, good to hear from you, buddy. If the Braves don't make a signing or trade for a big bat, who protects Freddie? Love your work. Well, I appreciate that. It's been a while since I've been with you guys. As you can tell, I've been remodeling. So it's been a little while, but I do appreciate it. Who protects Freddie? Anybody in that lineup can protect Freddie. I think Ozzie Albies could protect Freddie. I don't think that's what they're going to choose to do, but I think d'Arnaud would be just fine to protect Freddie. The question is who protects d'Arnaud after that. I think there is still plenty of potential for the Braves to re-sign Ozuna. I think there is potential for the Braves to go get somebody like George Springer. And as much as we might not like that, I think that is certainly a possibility. I think that is certainly being discussed if they can't land Ozuna again. Or they might just want to trade, switch guys out and go for Springer. Maybe because Ozuna, frankly, is not that great in the field, as we've all seen. I think they may go get somebody else. Duvall is still out there. Duvall could potentially protect Freddie. I think he's better down lower in the lineup. Nick Marchakis is a guy that's still out there, I believe, that hasn't been re-signed. And a lot of questions, I think, are starting to rise, not because the Braves haven't signed somebody. I think a lot of those questions are becoming because the competitors are making all these big signings. You remember when the Dodgers signed Mookie Betts last year? And deservingly so. That got a lot of attention. And I think it was because, obviously that was a big signing, but the Braves also didn't have a huge signing per se last year. Obviously, in hindsight, we know that Marcell Ozuna was a huge signing, but at the time, nobody was really super ecstatic about signing Ozuna. So you never really know who's going to pop off. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect Ozuna to do so. I truly did not. So I think it's interesting to see what's going to happen. I do think that we can re-sign Ozuna. I think that we could. I think that is certainly in the cards there, Chad Davis. JW asked me who is most likely to sign for the Braves. I think most likely is going to be Freddie Freeman. I think that's the easy way out here. But I think at the moment I would have to pick, outside of Freddie, I would probably have to pick Ozuna. Just because he's the guy most closely associated. But, it is what we're going to have to wait and see. Like I keep saying, we're going to have to wait and see. I think that the Braves could do a lot of different things. I think if I had to lean a certain way, if it's not Ozuna, if I had to lean a certain way, I'm leaning Springer. But I don't really like saying that. But we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait and see. I'll gladly do a reaction video when one of those happens. I don't think the Braves are done with Duvall. They might get him for less if he doesn't sign. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised that he has not done that yet. To tell you the God honest truth, I am surprised that no one has signed Adam Duvall yet. I think he probably will be signed by someone else. Especially if the Braves don't get him, because that would be ridiculous if nobody else signed him. But I do think that will happen. Do you think the Braves are more likely to trade for a bat or try to sign one in free agency? That is interesting. The Braves, I think, would be better off either signing free agent and Marcell Ozuna. That's what I think. But if not, I would personally like to see them sign a free agent. Because are they more likely? It could go either way. It depends on the deal. But I think they would be better off. I think they would be better off signing a free agent, personally. If Springer comes in, who bats lead off? I don't know how Acuna may take being dropped down in the lineup. Who's to say Acuna would drop down in the lineup? I think Springer would be there to protect Freeman, or the other way around. I think that's what the move would be. But we'll see what happens. I personally don't see that happening. When does spring training start? I believe February. I believe some point in February. That's when I'll be back to doing my usual weekly, daily videos, talking about what happened that day and what happens the next. So I can't wait for that. I am really looking forward to spring training. Obviously, I look forward to the baseball season every year, as you can tell. But I love spring training. That is a part of baseball that cannot be beaten. If you've never gone to spring training, obviously we're living in circumstances where that can't really happen at the moment. But if you've never gone to spring training, plan to do so at some point in your life. You will not regret it. You have close access, to all the players, and I think that is one of the best parts about baseball. If you've never gone, go to Florida, go to Arizona, wherever you can go to spring training. But it does start in February. Thanks for the question. Freeman to the Yankees. Could you imagine how bad they want a lefty like that in a short ballpark? My Lord. I'm sure they do, but I think he's going to be a Brave for life. Adam Duvall, letting him go is still a head-scratcher when it happened. Agreed. I was surprised by that, Jameson. Thank you for that. I was very surprised at the time. I'm still surprised by it. Didn't really make a lot of sense. I get it. You want to make a change, but at the same time, the guy outperformed every thought of what he was going to be this year. Surprised me a lot. Like I've said before, I said that in one of the last few videos, that it really surprised me, and it was one of the first times that I had not a disagreement, but I had a moment where I questioned Alex Anthopoulos, because up until that point, I had never questioned Alex Anthopoulos. Everything he did made sense to me. That was debatable. Adam Duvall had a lot of homers this year. He was right up there with Marcell, I think, for third in the National League or third in MLB, one or the other. He was up there, and he was a conversation starter. I think he got like 6 homers in a week or something crazy. And I really think that Adam Duvall is a guy that could easily return to Atlanta. I think they might just want him less. Personally, that's what I think. I don't think his days in Atlanta are necessarily over quite yet. But I've said that before about other people, so who knows. Do you think Marcel's coming back? Catfish Carl, I discussed that a few minutes ago, but I'm going to hit it real quick for you. I think Marcell could easily come back. I think that is why you haven't seen a major splash on a left fielder in like George Springer. I think the Braves would have already made that deal if they weren't considering Marcell. I think the hold up here, because to me, the media pressure is that you need to go sign Freddie Freeman. You need to extend him. You know, he's signed through next year, but the media pressure is go sign him for the years after that. And rightfully so. Freddie Freeman's earned a spot. But I'm not worried about if Freddie Freeman's going to be a Brave. Freddie Freeman wants to be a Brave for life. His agent probably hates the fact that he voices that so openly, but he wants to be a Brave for life. He'll be a Brave for life. I really do think that. I think the Braves want that to happen. And that's just what I think there. But I think a lot of that is waiting on to see what happens, how much they want to pay Freeman based on how much they pay a left fielder. And I think that conversation involves Marcell. I think there's a lot of cards in that mix that we just don't know, and we won't know. I think we're going to have to wait and see. As annoying as I know that sounds, we're just going to have to wait and see. Nice haircut. I appreciate it. I actually got it right before this. Thoughts on the Mets? JW, I know you're probably coming in late because I know I started this thing at a really weird time. I did hit it earlier. Thoughts on the Mets? I thought the Francisco Lindor trade was a good move for the Mets. Obviously, Carlos Carrasco included in that. I thought it was a great move for the Mets. Obviously, it is going to make a lot of people in this chat aggravated that that it happened, and I get that, but you compare this trade to a lot of other trades we've seen, i.e. Bryce Harper a few years ago. They got him for 1 year, $19.5 million. You can't really beat it. He's open to a long-term deal. See how he does this year in New York. He wants to be there. He's already embracing the New York Mets history. I think he could be a Met for a long time, and I don't think that's a bad thing. He's a great player. He's obviously, I said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. If you ask anyone that just casually watches baseball about a shortstop, he's going to be one of the top three. And that's just how it is. But I think, when it comes to the Braves, a lot of people are raising their eyebrows at this, but need to realize that wasn't there for the Braves. Do you want to get rid of Swanson? I think the Braves are, as well as myself, I think the Braves are looking at Swanson as make or break. You're betting on that guy. And I don't think that's a wrong thought to have. And I'm on the early stages of having that thought with Austin Riley. That's why I'm not really here for the whole Chris Bryant Arenado talk anymore. I was about 2 years ago. But after seeing Riley develop and all the power he's got, and if he could just control the swing a little bit, after seeing all that, after seeing what he's got, I really am on the Riley train. Maybe a little bit early, but I am on it. And I think the Braves are on this Dansby train. I don't think they would have made this deal. Especially when they have Dansby under contract for a few more years. I just don't see it happening. I think they got him on arbitration through the end of next, but I could be wrong there. How did you feel about Culberson going to Texas? Yeah, I almost did a video that day. I did. I almost came in here and did a video, but I really was kind of sad about it. Didn't really want to talk about it, but I will talk about it now. Culberson has been nothing but absolutely great to Atlanta. He has done a lot for the community. He goes to as many signings as humanly possible. Every time I turn around, somebody's got a picture with him on my Facebook, on my Instagram. Somebody has got a picture with him or getting something signed by him. One of my best friends is actually a huge Charlie Culberson fan. It's a shame that he didn't get to play a lot these past couple of seasons, especially this season with the DH rule. I really would have liked to have seen him get a lot more time, and that just wasn't in the cards. We had a lot of moments with Charlie, a lot of good moments. We saw him play just about every position, I believe. We had some ups and downs, of course, downs like being, when he got hit in the face that time. And the way the Braves fans reacted to that says a lot about Charlie. They cared for his well-being, not whether or not he was going to play the next day. And I think that says a lot about him. I'll tell you that every interaction I've ever had with Charlie Culberson has been very positive. He's always been very nice to me. Obviously, I interviewed him a couple years ago. He's, just a good person. Everybody that I know that's ever come into contact with him liked him. I've seen him interact with fans on sidelines. Personally, it means something to somebody when you remember them. And Charlie Culberson always remembered me. He always spoke to me if he saw me at a game. And I really appreciate that. But, I hate to see him go, but if it means he gets more playing time, I'm all for it. I think there could be more guys like this going. Obviously, Fultonevich is out there for somebody to pick up. Sean Newcomb is another guy that potentially could go elsewhere. Charlie's just the first, and I hate to see him go. Going to be tough to see him play for another team under another uniform, but hopefully he'll have some clutch moments for the Texas Rangers. That's my thoughts on Charlie Culberson. Thanks for that question. I appreciate you asking it. Thoughts on the All-Star game? Hopefully it's open to the fans. That's all I can say. Because I've already got a hotel booked. I'm going to be there, dadgummit. It's going to be in Atlanta, and hopefully it will be open to fans. We already know that the teams are planning for a 162-game season. Hopefully we can plan for a public All-Star game. If this whole situation in the world goes away, that would be wonderful. And hopefully I don't have to wear a mask when I go. But that's just my thoughts on it. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be great for the city of Atlanta. I think it'll be a wonderful thing. Obviously, that brings in everybody, from baseball. Hall of Famers come. A lot of signings will probably be in the Battery. Things like that. It'll be a great public event for the Braves. I really hope I can go. I've always wanted to go to an All-Star game. I've really always wanted to go to a home run derby. That's always been a dream of mine, and I really would like to see who can hit one out at Truist Park. That's what I really want to see. But we'll have to wait. Are teams doing spring training in Florida and Arizona or just their home stadiums? That hasn't really been discussed a lot. I believe they'll do it in Florida and Arizona. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't, considering that MLB wants these players to be vaccinated before they ever go to spring training, which is, not a bad idea. That might mean spring training starts a little bit late, but I think you'll pick up the season right on time. But that is a good question. I would venture to say they're going to be in Florida and Arizona, though. I don't know if they'll be public. They might have fans in, but I don't know what the public access will be. You'd have to call and ask. I really don't know. Hopefully, they'll be open to the fans, and this whole virus will go away. Braves or Dodger for NL West title? You're forgetting a lot about what we've talked about in this video. There are a lot more contenders. Frankly, the Padres are a contender. The Mets are now a contender. Philly, for as much money as they spent, they're a contender. Do I think it's a legitimate one? No. I think in a 162-game season, the Braves are poised to take the lead in that eventually. In the National League East. Versus the Dodgers, I think the Dodgers probably will win, but it wouldn't surprise me if we saw the Padres. It just really would not surprise me. I'm going to pick the Braves. What the heck? I'll pick the Braves. I think they shoulda, coulda, woulda won this year had Mike Soroka been there. Had, there been some dominoes fall the right way. I think the Braves could have easily won the National League. But it's a shame, always next year. Dansby is the Mortiest Morty. I don't know what that means. I am not that cultured, so I'm going to need you to drop and tell me what that means so I can explain it. They better make moves, especially since I just bought A-List membership for the year. Go Braves. Share your A-List membership with me. I actually don't have one, believe it or not, so get me one. I hope Charlie Clutch makes the Texas Rangers team this year. I do too. I'll tell you this. Charlie would not have left the Braves, in my opinion. I don't think Charlie would have left the Braves had he not thought that going elsewhere would yield him more playing time. Whether that be in a utility role, whether that be in a starting role. I think that he will definitely have playing time. More so than he would in Atlanta. I'm sure those conversations were had, and I think he made the right call for himself, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He's been a team guy for the past few years, so, it is what it is. One time, me and my dad bought tickets during Chop Fest to the April the 6th game because they were giving B-Back bobblehead, and then the game got canceled because COVID, and now we're stuck with the tickets. I think you should trade them in. I think you might be able to do that. Do you think 2020 should have had an all-star team, like a starting lineup, pitching rotation, but no game since it didn't mess up anyone's legacy? I guess so, but at that point, I think you're just happy you got in a season. You had less than half of one. You didn't even have an 80-game season. I think, honestly, you're just happy you got in a season if you're Major League Baseball. If you're the fans, I think you can venture to say who is an all-star. I think Freddie Freeman would have been. I think Marcell Ozuna would have been. D'Arnaud probably would have been. Dansby, probably not, but he's up there in the conversation. I think Max Fried, potentially. I think the Braves would have had a bunch, and I think they'll have a bunch this year. So I don't think we missed out on too much. Just remember there's always next year. The All-Star game would be awesome with the fans there. Any game is awesome with the fans there, especially at Truist Park. Trust me, I was at some of those watch-alongs at Truist before. I went to Globe Life for the Game 3, which was a train wreck for the Braves. But before that, I was at a couple of the watch-alongs, and the fans were there, but it was quiet. It wasn't the same. So yeah, I really look forward to the days where I can go to Truist Park and see thousands of you guys cheering and yelling for the game. I really miss that. I miss that environment. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's one of my favorite places to go. Before that it was obviously Turner, but I really love going to Truist Park. Me and my brother took a trip to Atlanta the other day to IKEA for something, and we just went to the stadium just for the heck of it. We just went. We didn't do a whole lot. We went to the store and bought a couple things, but we just wanted to go. It's really one of my favorite things to do and to go to. Y'all are having a whole separate conversation in here amongst each other, and I like that, but it's hard to navigate. All right, what is your favorite autographed ball you have behind you? I have a few. I'll give you the rundown real quick. I'm going to do a video eventually discussing every last one of these baseballs. Okay, every last autograph I have in this room, which there are 4 walls to this room. This is just a corner, So those are every Brave Hall of Famer plus a couple more. Dale Murphy, Dave Justice is in there, but Hank Aaron, Warren Spahn, Eddie Matthews, all those are in there. This is Pete Rose signed helmet. Let me think. Probably this one. I'm going to show it to you, but it's probably this one. I got to be careful not to knock that bat down. Y'all are really making me work today, but I'll show you this one real quick. This is a ball someone gave to me when I graduated high school. It was in their personal collection, and they just gave it to me. Okay? But I'm going to show you what it is. So, I don't know if you guys can see it. I hope you can. That is Johnny Bench. That's Johnny Bench. Okay? That is Pete Rose. Joe Morgan. And Tony Perez. Big Red Machine. It's one of my favorite baseballs, personally. I have a couple autographs that are probably worth more, but this is my favorite autograph baseball. My favorite autograph bat is right there. That is Bo Jackson. His model bat, signed by him, right on the sweet spot. I actually bought that one. It's certified and everything, but that's probably my favorite bat. I know it's not Braves, but probably one of the best athletes of all time. It's hard not to pick a ball that's not a Braves ball, but if I had to pick one baseball, that would probably be it, just because it's got 4 of potentially the best baseball players of all time on it. My favorite autograph, though, I showed it on here the other day when Phil Niekro passed. It's that over there. It's a 11 by 14 photo signed by Nuxie, along with a letter he sent me. So that would probably be my favorite. But the one that's worth the most, I'll do this one last thing. I got to stand up for this, so I'm going to put something else up. But all right. The one that I have that is probably the piece that I'll never get rid of in any way, shape, or form. This is just for you, Sean. Just for you. It's Ted Williams. It's an 8x10 photo signed by Ted Williams. The same guy that gave me that baseball gave me this. And it's one of my favorite pieces. It will never leave my wall. So don't get any ideas. No, I'm not giving it away. I love that piece. And it's gonna stay there on my wall till the end of time. But that is probably my 3 that I look at and go, yeah, those are, just some of the 3 that are either worth the most or my favorite. Obviously Phil, and then the Reds ball. I got a lot of Reds connections. Darryl Chaney is a former Red. He's got a lot of guys up there that played for the Reds, but it is what it is. I love collecting, obviously. I can't help it. That's a Nick Saban helmet back there. Congrats, Bama. But yeah, I love collecting. At this point, I don't really try anymore. It kind of just happens. To tell you the truth, I kind of just end up spending money. But yeah, so thanks for that question. Let me see. Ted Williams would be my favorite. Yeah, but Phil's more personal. Ted was my favorite, and then Phil. I got Phil, and that's just more personal. He sent me a letter with it. I mean, think about it like if Warren Spahn sent you a letter. That's kind of how I look at it. The Braves thing is money. We will have to get around this deal of money. We only need a power bat playing left field, period. Wayne Blackman, good to hear from you, buddy. It's been a minute. Yeah, but the Braves have money to spend. Keep in mind, they got a lot off the books. Cole Hamels is no longer getting paid. They got money to spend, but they're going to make the right choice. And I think that's going to be what they do. $1 million going once, going twice. Is that for the Ted thing? Because $1 million might make me sway a little bit, but no, I'm not getting rid of it. I actually met you at a Georgia Bulldogs signing a few years back. I am not a Bulldogs fan, but I know what you're talking about. I don't go to a lot of Georgia Bulldogs signings. I only went to one. Man, y'all going to make me show the whole collection, right? I'll show you. As many of you guys know, I cover college football. The second game I ever covered was Georgia Notre Dame in South Bend a few years ago. It was the year 2015, or not 2015, 2017. Georgia went to the national championship that year. This is Terry Godwin's infamous catch, right? If you guys are Georgia fans, you're going to love this. That is the catch right here. This is the credential from that game, my media credential from that game. Okay, it is signed by Rudy Rudiger. And if you don't know who that is, you're not a sports fan. But Rudy Rudiger, if you don't know who he is, if you're young and you don't know who he is, look him up. Rudy Rudiger, he played for Notre Dame. That guy right... Where am I at? That guy right there is me. So I got Terry Godwin to sign that. It's one of my favorite pieces. So I know what you're talking about. I remember you. Kinda. But I appreciate that comment. I heard we got a lot of money coming off the books in 2021. We do. I'd have to go through all those numbers and look up, tell you exactly how much, but I think that's pretty pointless. Just know we got enough. If the Braves want to go get somebody, they're going to go get somebody. I just think they're debating on what that move is. I think they have a lot of options, too. I mean, really, if they didn't make a move, they got Drew Waters, right? Mentioned that earlier. They got Drew Waters. But they also have the option of George Springer. They have the option of Marcell Ozuna. A couple of other guys. They got Yasiel Puig just sitting there ready to go. Presumably they have more outfielders in the minors. They have a lot of options. They have. I mean, really. Nick Marchakis. There's a lot of guys that wouldn't be bad pickups. I think they want to make the right call, though. I think that's what's taking so long. If there is no DH in the National League, what is the outfield for the Braves? Is there any signings that you think the Braves need to make? Yeah, extend Freddie. That's the one that I think they need to make. Aside from that, pitching is pretty much set, starting-wise. They need to make some bullpen adds, whether that be Melanson or someone else. They do need to add to the bullpen. I don't know if Shane Green's coming off. I'd like to have him back. I think he is. I'm not quite sure. You'd have to check me on that. I think he is coming off this year. I would like to have him back. Melanson scares me a little bit in the ninth inning, not going to lie. He just does. No reason, really. Just, I like a flamethrower, and that's not really his style. I just like a flamethrower in the ninth inning. He just scares me a little bit, but I think they do need to add some bullpen pieces. Starters, I really like the starters. I think that was the moves they made. Yeah, everybody's acting like the Braves haven't done anything. They already added a bunch of starters. They fixed that. That was the biggest problem, and they fixed it. Potentially. Obviously, Fried, Ian Anderson, Mike Soroka, Drew Smiley, and Charlie Morton. So, yeah, the Braves are going to be fine on starting pitching. They need to add some bullpen pieces, and, of course, they need a left fielder. But your outfield at the moment is Pache and Acuna and whoever they find. Presumably Marcell Ozuna, George Springer, Drew Waters, Nick Marchakis, Adam Duvall, plus whatever other free agents are out there. I think they're going to do just fine. I don't think there is necessarily a move they need to make other than re-signing Freddie, or extending him, rather, to a further along deal. But I don't think there's a move that needs to happen. I didn't talk about the White Sox. I have actually not thought a lot about them just because they're kind of far out there. I'll get back to you on that, JW. Forgive me. I will get back to you on that. But I haven't really researched that like I've been researching the National League East these past couple of days. I've been really trying to figure out what I thought about all this, because it's a lot that's happened that's been outside of the Braves. Pache or Acuna in center field? That's an easy answer, and it's Christian Pache. Everything I've heard has been Christian Pache is a natural-born center fielder. Frankly, Acuna is a great outfielder. Don't get me wrong. But Pache is the guy that they've talked about defensively is the guy in center field. And I think he will be that. I think you'll see Acuna move to right. If you remember, the Braves purposefully were putting Acuna in right and left, seeing which one was more comfortable, I guess, or just getting him experience out there. I think Pache will take, no doubt, center field. I don't even think that's a question at this point. Wayne Blackman, number 1, re-up Freeman. Agreed. 2, number 2, sign and play Ozuna in left field. I don't disagree. Cheat Pache to his right and deal with it for 1 year. Not, you know what? That's actually not a bad one at all. I appreciate that comment. I really like that. Just the way you the way you put it, I like it. Do you think Freddie will stay after his contract is up? Wondering because I know AA doesn't like to make big contracts and other teams do. Freddie is the exception. I think that is not even a worry on both sides. I think Freddie, I said this a minute ago, Freddie's agent has got to hate it. I mean, he's got to hate it that Freddie is so openly about staying with the Braves. He wants to be a Brave for life, and I think he will be. I mean, the dude won the MVP this year. How hard could it be to come up with a deal for him? I mean, really, he's a guy that's been nothing but good for the Braves, and I think he will continue to be that. I think he's the locker room leader. And I think he means a lot to Atlanta just in general. I don't even worry about Freddie Freeman. And look, if he goes to another team, I will be distraught. But I'm honestly not worried about it, personally. Do you think so, Sean? Let me know. If there is no DH, would you take Duvall or Ozuna? In the field, I take Duvall, but at the plate, I take Ozuna. Probably Ozuna. I really like Duvall. I really do. If you don't remember, I questioned what we were doing when we let him go. Just because I knew that there would be more opportunity for a Charlie Culberson-esque player, to come off the bench and play, and I thought that guy could be Duvall. I think Duvall really prospered this year. I think he could go somewhere and, frankly, get paid anywhere he went because he deserves it. But if I had to pick one, it probably would be Ozuna. And I know that contradicts a lot of what I've said before in the sense of, if there's no DH, I don't want Ozuna. But at the same time, I look at it and he's an electric player. The Braves really want to bring him back. He had 2/3 of the Triple Crown in the 60-game season. He's a guy that could really, make an impact. And I can look past, everyday fielding. I can look past it. And the playoffs, take him out for late inning defense. There's a lot, of questions there. But at the end of the day, I think I'm taking Ozuna. I'm going to have to get out of here pretty soon. My work schedule is absolutely ridiculous these days, guys. That's why I haven't been able to do a whole lot of these. But I am going to have to get out of here and go to bed, actually. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to answer these last few questions. If you have them, get them in. Then I'm going to bed. So, letting you know. Where would Pache go if we got Springer center field? Springer in left. Springer is more about the lineup. It's not fielding. I'm not even worried about that. Pache's center field. I don't think they're going to make a rookie learn a position. Springer is, I believe, a left fielder at the moment, is he not? Or has been before. Correct me if I'm wrong there, E, but I think he is a left fielder at the moment. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he is. I think Freddie going to take a pay cut like Acuna and Ozzie. He very well could. I don't think Freddie is a money-hungry guy, and I'm not going to speak for him. I'm not his agent, but I don't think he's a money-hungry guy. He's obviously wanting to come back to Atlanta and speaking it, pretty out there. He could take a pay cut. He could do, and I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. Chipper Jones a few years back, if you don't remember, reallocated his money so the Braves could get certain players. He could do something like that. He could say, look, you can pay me this amount of money, but if you put the rest into getting Ozuna back, he could do something like that. Kevin McAlpin actually mentioned that to me in our interview a few months back. So there is that thought out there. There's a lot of negotiating that has to be done within the Braves before the Braves can really go out. And I think that's the best way I can put it. But we're going to have to wait and see. As much as I hate saying that, we're going to have to wait and see. Did the Braves re-sign Nick Marchakis yesterday? My dad actually mentioned that to me. I haven't fact-checked that. I believe there was a fake post out there. Mainly because of the numbers he spat off to me. I think it was 2-year, $23 million, when Nick Marchakis has taken a 1-year, $6 million for the past few, and I believe a 1-year, $4 million. I see no news on my Google feed of Nick Marchakis being re-signed. I didn't think it was legitimate when I read it, and I think it was a Facebook post, I believe, that kind of had some people. I had some text last night too, so don't feel dumb. I had a lot of people asking me. The numbers just didn't sound right to me. I didn't think the Braves would give him $23 million for 2 years. I just didn't see that. But no, they did not, according to the Google. Riley is my third baseman. He's mine too, and I think it is time that we embrace him. I think it is time. Marcos, here you go. This is your answer too. I think it is time that the Braves decide, not the Braves fans. I think it is time to embrace Austin Riley. He has gotten better. First month in his career, he hit, 18 homers? And of course he struggled after that. But had he put up those numbers just in a regular season, had it not been so condensed into 1 month, you would have been perfectly fine with a rookie putting up those numbers, right? For anybody. Shortstop, outfielder, third baseman, DH, for any rookie doing that would have been impressive. Obviously the batting average took a hit, but hear me out. Had it not been condensed into that 1 month, had it been stretched out, had he put up the same amount of batting average and then put up 18 homers on top of that, it would have been perfectly fine with what he did that year. Obviously, this year was a 60-game season. He finally, frankly, learned to hit the slider, learned to hit off speed. And, I think like most of the homers he hit this year was off the slider, which was wildly different than his first year when he couldn't hit the slider. He could hit the fastball, but he couldn't hit the slider. So I think we're going to see him a lot like Dansby has, develop and develop and develop and really come into his own. Sean said it right here. I've been on Riley since AAA and Gwinnett. He is still getting better. Scared to see what he'll be in a few years. Agreed. I've been following this guy since he was in AAA and Gwinnett. I went to his debut because I knew fireworks were a possibility, and I was right. He had a home run in his debut. This is a guy that has been with the Braves since minor leagues. He is a guy that I think we need to stick with, and frankly, he's a guy that we got pretty cheap right now, and I think that's going to be the case for a while. So that's what I think there. Braves infield to me is set. The question is left field. Agreed. The bullpen is too, but agreed. Riley's going to be good. People need to give him a chance. He's played less than a full season and has already made adjustments, and he is surprisingly a good defender. Scares me on a routine throw, though. He's got a cannon at third, doesn't he? He's a very good defender. I mentioned this earlier. I know I've been talking for like an hour, but I mentioned this earlier. Riley made some plays in the postseason that potentially saved the Braves postseason. Game 1 against Cincinnati Reds is the one I'm really thinking of. There was a tag at home plate where he full-out dove. Some balls that were hit hard as I don't know what that he just picked up like a routine play. And you can't speak to that. That's why when people are like, just put him in left, I disagree. I like him at third. I think there's a lot of guys that can't make the plays that he can make at third. And frankly, he's not the best left fielder. It's not like you're putting him out there to show his strength. I think you show his strength at third base. And he has made adjustments. And the interesting thing about Riley, as Framework says, he's going to be a beast. He has shown he can be a plus defender and will improve at the plate the way he has from rookie campaign to a sophomore year. campaign. I am all in on him. Me as well. You know, to me, it strikes me very interesting that you have guys like Albert Pujols, Chipper Jones, that are working with Riley. I don't know how many of you guys knew that. Go look at Austin Riley's Instagram. See who's working with him. You have guys that want to work with Austin Riley because they see the potential. The dude hit... I know power's not everything. I know that. But the dude hit a 500-foot shot almost this year. Okay? And he's a year older than me. And he's like 23 years old. Okay? The dude has a lot of potential. And I think you're only going to see him get better. You know, I'll tell you all this just real quick. Since we're in the offseason, I could be casual. I have a friend. And at the beginning of this past season, I got to talk about Austin Riley and how much I really like Austin Riley. And this guy proceeded to tell me, oh, Austin Riley has no potential. And I just took that, I put it in my back pocket. Later that year, we're watching the Braves. Austin Riley comes to the plate and proceeds to hit a moonshot, the 500-foot one that I'm referring to. And I just look at my friend, and I just say, no potential. Just remember that. You know, these guys are young. You know, they have the potential to be anything they're going to be, but they obviously, the work has to be put, the patience has to be put by the coaching staff, and frankly by the fans. So I think it's going to be interesting. You know, Riley has, I think right now, Austin, out of anybody I've seen, Austin Riley has the most potential left. The most potential to be explored. You know, Dansby, we've seen sparks of greatness. You know, I think we know what we're going to get out of Dansby now. I don't think we know what we're going to get out of Riley. I think it could be wildly different scenarios. I think he could be, you know, frankly, a guy that can just mash homers when we need him to, a number 4 hitter, maybe a number 5. But I think he's going to be good. And I think there's a chance that, obviously, you know, with anyone, there's a chance they fall off. But I lean towards the successful side. I truly do. I think Austin Riley is going to be a force to be reckoned with for the Braves for the foreseeable future. Wayne Blackman says, roll tide. Y'all Georgia fans ain't going to like that. He's probably referring to that thing back there. I get it. But just know, Wayne, I'm a pretty unbiased college football fan. I really just like to hate on teams. I was rooting for you guys in the national championship because I like Nick Saban, but I got Pat Dye up there for Auburn. I got Bobby Bowden up there, and I got Terry Godwin over there. So just know I'm pretty unbiased, but I appreciate that. I think we should have kept Duvall. He's good pop and is a great defender. Ozuna is going to be expensive, so I don't know why the Braves released him. That's what I said in that last video when I was talking about Duvall. Duvall is a guy that, for the price, you can't beat. He's a guy that, you know, wants to win, wants to play hard, and frankly does. He made some plays this year that were out of the, you know, frankly, out of the ballpark. Reaching over the back fence, you know, things like that. Running plays that Ozuna, frankly, just can't do. And that is something that I do agree with. I think the Braves have to, frankly, value what they got. And the thing that makes me scratch my head more than Duvall not being signed is who they signed around the same time. And that would be Luke Jackson, which really surprised me after this year. And frankly, after the years prior. You know, Luke Jackson is a guy who I don't dislike. I like Luke Jackson as a person. I've met him. He's very nice. But on the mound, I get worried when he comes up. You know, even when he does well, I get worried. When there's no way he can fail, I get worried because I've been accustomed to being worried when Luke Jackson comes up on the mound. And that's not a knock on him. I'm not trying to pick on him. I'm not trying to be funny, as a lot of people, you know, are on Twitter and Facebook and things like that. I'm being genuine. I was very surprised to see the Braves put out the money that they did for Luke Jackson when they didn't put it out for Adam Duvall. And I know it's two different cases. You know, you got pitching and you got position player. But I was just very surprised. I thought that money could have been used better elsewhere. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe they know something I don't. I just don't know. Frey Morg, I believe, just quoted me, and he said, out of everyone I've seen, Austin Riley has the most potential I've seen. I said the most potential to be explored. I think that's the best way to put it. But I appreciate your comment. All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed it. Just one more time, you know, we will be doing some things throughout the offseason. We will be finding something to do during this off season. I promise it has bugged me every day that I don't get to come on here and talk about baseball, but frankly, there's just not a lot out there right now. I will be doing a video about all these baseballs back here at some point, but trying to figure out the best way to do that. I may do a live stream. I may do a pre-recorded thing. I don't know. I am going to talk about them. I have a lot of baseball bets lined up on the wall over there. I just had to figure out the best way I can do this to make it make sense, frankly. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in, as always. I know it was a weird time today. Forgive me. Like I said, trying to figure out my schedule here lately. It will get more normalized throughout the season. But I did want to come in. I will have some stuff, I promise. But one more time, the Mets had a great trade with Lindor and Carlos Carrasco. All credit to them. The Nationals get Kyle Schwarber. That's a decent move on their part too. I think the Braves are going to make a splash here pretty soon. I will be here when they do. I will be out of town this weekend, so if something drops, I will be talking to you from a cabin in Pigeon Forge. But I will be talking to you. I will take my computer just in case. But we will talk about it when that happens. So, as always, I appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to see you guys later. I can't wait for spring training so I can talk to you guys on a more regular basis. And we'll be right here to do that. So, we'll see. Jameson, I see your comment. I appreciate it. Any comments that come in after this, I'm sorry. I've got to let them go. But I do appreciate it, guys. See you next time on deck.